episode 7 of the Monday Morning MMA Report. I'm your host, DJ Aries the God, and this is a podcast presented to you by Official MMA Press. Now, we had a couple events that happened this past weekend. We had TUFF NUFF 141 and UFC Fight Night 251. So I'm going to be covering both of these events that happened. TUFF NUFF happened on Friday, February 14th, Valentine's Day. And UFC Fight Night happened the next day, which was Saturday, February 15th. And on my third topic for today, I'm going to be talking about my predictions for UFC Fight Night 252. So the first topic I'm going to be discussing is TUFF NUFF 141, which happened on February 14th, Valentine's Day. And actually, the main event for that one was supposed to be a fighter named Eric McConnell. He was supposed to be in the main event, but he got called up to move to the UFC. So he's going to be fighting in the prelims of UFC Fight Night 252, which is Henry Cejudo versus Song Yadong. That's the main event. And he's fighting in the preliminary card. Let me see who he's fighting. He is going to be fighting against Nursultan Ruzibov. So I want to see how he does. Congratulations to him for moving up. And yeah, let's see what he does next week in his UFC debut. But actually, in this TUFF NUFF 141, the main event was Leon Shabazian versus Ariane Tabarez, and Shabazian's brother actually fought on Saturday in the UFC 251, which the main event for that one was Jared Cannonier versus Gregory Rodriguez. So it's pretty interesting. So let's just get right into TUFF NUFF 141, which is our first topic of the day. And this was a 4-fight main event card. It was a pretty good card. It was pretty good. It was quick. I think it was only the whole event was only like an hour and a half maybe. And it was only 4 fights because, like I said previously, Eric McConnell got moved up to fight in the UFC prelims for next week. So congratulations to him. That's a big move right there. But our first fight of the night was Eduardo Pena versus Roy Benavidez. This was a bantamweight match, and this was a quick fight. Pena ended the fight quick with a rear naked choke. He looked excellent out there. He took no damage. He just had a quick takedown with a beautiful transition into a rear naked chokehold, and not really much to say about that. He went into the fight 4-0. Now he's 5-0, so let's see what happens with him. He might be, a contestant on the next Dana White Contender Series. You never know. Or the Ultimate Fighter. So let's see what happens with him. Our next fight was, and this was a quick event, so I'm probably going to go through these fights pretty fast. It was James Nakashima versus Josine Alda Silva. And this was a welterweight fight. And James Nakashima, he seemed to just be on another level. He won all 3 rounds. It was straight up ground and pound the whole time. Silva had nothing for him. He did not know how to get back up. It looked like he had no ground game at all, period. Like, it just was straight up Nakashima with the ground and pound. He cut him open in the 3rd round pretty bad. Just wasn't a good look for Silva, but I want to see Nakashima fight somebody with a little more skill, because it looked like he didn't really want to be on the feet with Silva. So see what happens with that. But he won that one. Our next fight was John DeJesus versus David Magoyan, and this was a lightweight fight, and this was actually the best fight for me of the whole card. It was the most competitive fight. They had a lot of back and forth. David Magoyan, he won all 3 rounds, I think, but it was more competitive. John DeJesus, he put up a good fight. He was defending the takedowns better than the previous fight that I just mentioned, the Silva and Nakashima fight. But David Magoyan, he fought a lot like Arman Sarukian, and it's crazy because I'm watching the fight and Arman Sarukian is in his corner coaching him. So it was actually pretty cool to watch that they had the same style of fighting. So he looked really good out there. His takedowns was ill. DeJesus tried pressuring him with the stand-up. In the third round, he was going for the kill. He had to because he had the only way to win was he was going to have to put him down. But David Magoyan, with the counter punching, he was sick with it. He was in and out. He looked real sharp out there. So that was the best fight of this card. And I want to see David Magoyan. I want to see what he does because he looks real good. Real good. So congratulations to him. That was a nice win. That was a competitive fight to both fighters. It was real dope. The main event was Leon Shabazian versus Ariane Tavares. And it's crazy because I watched the UFC live because it's on a Saturday and I don't work. So I had to rewatch the TUFF Enough for Friday. I watched it after, and I watched the Shabazian brother win decisively in the UFC. Like he won with it was a sick knockout. And rewatching the TUFF Enough 141, his brother Leon Shabazian wins with a sick left hook. Well, he drops him with a sick left hook and then hops on Tavares and puts him in a guillotine and wins like that. So it was a real good weekend when both brothers win their fights. Even though I'm not on the UFC topic yet, I thought it was pretty cool just to watch and see. It was real good. So that was a good fight as well. And it's a good win for Leon Shabazian because they said he didn't have a fight in 2 years. So that's a real good win. That's a big confidence boost. And let's see what he ends up doing. Let's see if he ends up making it to the Dana White Contender Series or the Ultimate Fighter. You know what I mean? Like, these are two big shows that I enjoy watching very much. I like seeing who comes out of there, who's going to be the next Sean O'Malley. You know what I mean? Like, you just never know. This that type of sport. So that kind of wraps up my first topic right there. It was a good card. Especially for, some what I like to call G League action right there. That's our NBA G League right there. Tough Enough and LFA and those smaller promotions right there. They're still professionals, but they got some work to do. They got to tighten up. They got to tighten up their craft. So next on the docket is gonna be, of course, UFC Fight Night 251. Jared Cannonier versus Gregory Rodriguez. Now, I watched the prelims. They wasn't really all that to me. It was good. It just wasn't nothing crazy to talk about. There was one fighter on there, one fight that I really liked a lot that I do want to talk about. But I will just kind of breeze through the winners of the prelims just so everybody can know who won in case you didn't catch the prelims. So our first fight of the prelim was Julia Avila versus Jacqueline Cavalcanti, and Jacqueline Cavalcanti wins that fight. This was a pretty good fight. Julia Avila, she actually retires. This is her last fight. She put the gloves in the middle of the ring, and this is it for her. So that's good for her. New chapter in her life. That's dope. The next fight was Dontel Mays versus Walter Walker, and this was a quick fight. I lost. I bet over a round and a half with this fight, and Walker put him in a heel hook in like a minute 20 and ended the fight real quick. I was pissed about that, but too easy. That was way too easy. I don't want to waste much time talking about that. It was a good win for him, but I think they said that only 5 people in this division, in this weight class, was finished fights with a heel hook. Only 5 heel hooks ever, and Walker got 2 of them. So that's cool. The next fight was Vince Morales versus Elijah Smith. And this was Elijah Smith's debut. And this was pretty cool. This is the one fight that I wanted to talk about. Elijah Smith looked real good in there in his debut. Vince Morales is a veteran. You know, he's been around the UFC for a little bit. And Elijah Smith wins the fight. I mean, he did win it. He was looking good out there. But he came real close to getting finished a couple times on the ground. Like, it wasn't one-sided. It was a good back-and-forth fight. And Morales definitely had the edge on the ground. But Elijah Smith ends up pulling off the win. This was a great win for him in his debut. He's a 22-year-old prospect with a, you know, big potential, big upside to him. So that's super, super good. Our next fight was Gabriel Bonfim versus Chaos Williams. And this was a second round submission. I ain't gonna lie. I thought Williams was dead on the ground. It looked scary. Bonfim put him in I think it was a darce that he ended it with. And I don't know if the ref removed him in time. It looked like he held him for a little bit too long. But that was a good win. His brother, Ishmael, fought on the main card. We'll get to that one. So that was a good win for Gabriel Bonfim. Our next fight was Rafael Estevam versus Jesus Aguilar. And it was an okay fight. Rafael Estevam won, but I wasn't really impressed with the performance. Our next fight was Angela Hill versus Ketlin Souza. And Angela Hill wins. I think this is like her third or fourth win in a row. So that was a good fight. That one was actually a really good fight right there. And the last fight of the prelims was Connor Matthews versus Jose Delgado. And Jose Delgado wins by a KO in the first round, 2 minutes and 58 seconds. So in case you didn't catch the prelims, in case you watched the prelims, that is a run through of the winners and losers of the prelims. And now we could get to the main card, which was Rodolfo Vieira versus Andre Petroski. And I thought this was going to be a straight up wrestling match because Petroski, he likes to wrestle. He's a wrestler, likes to grapple. And Vieira is a big wrestler as well. So I thought it was going to be a lot of wrestling, grappling, and I was actually surprised that Petroski's stand-up, he won the fight, but his stand-up looked real, real good. You know, I don't remember his stand-up looking good like that. It looked like he's polished up. You know, he's a little more well-rounded, and that was actually a really good fight. I was not expecting it to be on the feet most of the time. It was a good fight. Next was Ismail Bonfim, the Bonfim brother, versus Nazim Sadikov. And this fight was actually stopped by the doctor. Nazim Sadikov caught Ismail Bonfim in the head with a kick, or it was like in his eye or something like that. And I think he said he couldn't see. Right then, I guess he said he could see. I don't know. It's a miscommunication, or I think he said he couldn't see. So they stopped the fight, and he took the L. So, I mean, you can't fight if you can't see, so whatever. Next up was the Shabazian brother, Edmund Shabazian versus Dylan Budka. And this was a sick knockout. It was quick. It was in the first round. I think it was a minute 35 seconds in. If you want to rewatch it. I mean, he catches him with a sick right straight cross to the jaw and drops him. And not much to say about that. It was a good weekend for the Shabazian brothers. One won the main event in Tough Enough, 141, and the other one wins decisively. They both finished their fight, so I'm sure they're out there in Vegas living it up right now. They're on on their high horse, you know. They're fucking living large right now, larger than life. I know I would be if I was fighting and my brother's fighting. We both won the way we won the same weekend. Yeah, we outside partying. We out there. The next fight was the co-main event, and it was Calvin Kattar versus Youssef Zalal. And I think Calvin Kattar could have won this fight. It looked like he turned up in the third round. You know, I mean, he lost by unanimous decision. I think he was holding back. It felt like he was holding back. But, you know, Youssef Zalal, he looks okay out there. I mean, I think if Calvin Kattar would have turned it up earlier, maybe halfway through the second, he probably would have finished him. That's what it was looking like. But we'll never know. Everybody got their day, you know what I mean? And that leads us to the main event, which was Jared Cannonier versus Gregory Rodriguez. And Cannonier was the underdog in this fight. And I ain't gonna lie, when it started, it looked like it. Rodriguez was on point. He super his hits, his punches, his kicks were super powerful. He dropped Cannonier a couple times in the first round. I'm like, man, this about to be over. And just that veteran toughness, Cannonier turned it up. He got stronger as the fight went on. Rodriguez got weaker as the fight went on. And I did not see it ending. I mean, I guess I did. One of them were going to get finished. One of these fighters was going to get finished. And I didn't see a turn of events the way it happened. You can never count Cannonier out because he just got that power. He got that grit. He got that mentality. And it was a really, really good main event. They put on a show. There was respect from both fighters. You know, like they showed each other good sportsmanship. And it was really good. I lost money because I went with Rodriguez. But I did win 2 parlays this following weekend. This was just a single bet that I lost. I ended up making the bet late because, you know, they let you bet while the fight's going on. So once, you know, Cannonier started turning the fight around, Rodriguez ended up being the underdog. And I'm like, perfect. Let me drop $10 on Rodriguez. And it just didn't work out for me. Shout out to everybody that won money with Cannonier. I wish I would have picked him before the fight started. But, you know, it is what it is. So that kind of wraps up this event right here for me. Next up on the docket is going to be next week's UFC's fight night, which is 252, and the main event is Henry Cejudo versus Song Yadong. So I'm gonna make some picks, and then I'm gonna do a parlay. What I would do for a parlay, and there's only 4 fights right now on the main card as I'm checking it. I'm on the UFC app right now. So the first fight is Alonzo Menifield versus Julius Walker, light heavyweight. And I'm going to go with Julius Walker just because, you know, I think this is his debut. He's 6-0, so I think he's a super prospect. I'm just going to go with him, especially Alonzo Menifield. He lost his last fight in a KO, so I'm just going to go with Julius Walker. The next fight is Gene Silva versus Miles Bagsadarsian. And this one, I'm going to go with Gene Silva. He's on a 3-fight win streak. And I think he's going to win. I think he's going to win. So that's my pick. The next fight is Brendan Allen versus Anthony Hernandez, a middleweight fight. And I'm going to go Brendan Allen. I think Brendan Allen is super well-rounded. And I think he gets the win. I think he gets the win right there. And our main event is Henry Cejudo versus Song Yadong. And I think Song Yadong is going to beat the shit out of Henry Cejudo. I don't think he stands a chance. I know he's a legend. Song Yadong, I just think he's on another level. You know, he needs his get back after losing the Petr Yan. And that was a good fight. That was a good fight between him and Petr Yan. Petr Yan just a beast, you know. I just think Henry Cejudo, he's not in his prime. I think Song Yadong's in his prime, and I think he wins by a landslide. I think he wins by a landslide. If I'm doing a parlay, I'm going to do a 3-pick parlay, and I'm going to go Gene Silva, Brendan Allen, and Song Yadong. That'll be my parlay. That's definitely what I'm going to do. And yeah, that's it. If you want to tell me, win some money. I won 2 parlays this week, and I won 2 parlays last week. So I'm actually doing pretty good. The single bets, I'm kind of 50-50 with them. But the parlays, I think I did 3 parlays and won 2. That's like my magic number right there. 3 parlays, win 2. So this is one of my parlays right here. I got a good feeling that I'm going to win this one. So if anybody wants to tell, there you go. If anybody got advice, leave it in the comments. I'll get back to it. Hit up any of the social medias. The link tree is in the description of the podcast. And on all the social medias, Official MMA Press. Like, subscribe, comment, you know. Let's get interactive right here. Let's get some people up here on the show, all right? So I'm your host, DJ Aries the God, and this is a podcast presented to you by Official MMA Press, and I'll see you guys next week. I'm out of here. Peace out.